Good day. This is Billy Moore. I'm getting ready for a Morocco trip on the 23rd of February, coming up very shortly. Uh, Thank you for joining me for this first adventure to Morocco. Below, I've listed the names of the people that are going with us. Some of them have been on 3 or 4 trips with me in the past. I welcome them back, and also for Annette and Jessica and Marie. This will be your first trip with me, and I promise not to disappoint you. I had registered 19 participants for the trip, but only 16 will be traveling. Unfortunately, 3 had to cancel due to medical reasons. And Mallory and Denise won't be with us in my home for the presentation on the 9th because they live in Elberton, Georgia, my hometown. We actually have 2 groups that will travel to Morocco. A group of 14 A group of 14 will be traveling via Air Canada on the route shown, going through Montreal. We couldn't get enough seats on that flight, so we got additional seats on Moroccan Airlines out of Dulles going straight to Casablanca. And there'll be 4 people on that flight. We'll join up in Casablanca. We arrive within an hour or 2 of each other, and we'll get together there and continue the trip. The return trip will be also using Air Canada for the big group and Moroccan Airlines for the smaller group. I have produced the flight schedule here for Air Canada. You can see we leave Dulles at 1600 on the 23rd. Just be advised to be there 3 hours before for check-in. And you'll see we'll arrive in Montreal just an hour and 45 minutes later with a slight layover there, and then we'll depart Montreal for Casablanca on a 7-hour flight. Coming back, we go back through Montreal and then to Dulles, arriving back at Dulles at a comfortable 15:30 on the 1st of March. For the Moroccan Airlines flight departing Dulles at 21:15 on the 23rd and arriving in Casablanca at 10:20 on the 24th of February. We'll meet up and do the tour, but leaving Casablanca, you'll be leaving at 16:35 on the 1st of March, and you can see when you're getting back into Dulles that evening. Our transatlantic flight will be on very modern passenger aircraft. For the people that are flying Air Canada that goes through Montreal, they'll be on the Airbus A330-300. And for the people that are flying straight out from Dulles to Casablanca, the 4 people that are doing that will be on the Boeing 787-8. On the Air Canada flight from Dulles to Montreal and return from Montreal to Dulles, we'll be flying on a Bombardier. I'm not familiar with the aircraft, but I think this is what it looks like. There are several models of it. Could be a turboprop with a high wing, but I think the one you see in this photograph will be the one that we travel on. Here we see our tour route while in Morocco, day 1 through day 8. Our first day will be day 2 in Casablanca. You can see on the itinerary what we'll be doing there, but we'll pretty much be on our own after getting a brief in the morning after we get there. And then we will, on day 3, go up to Rabat and to Fez. You can see the rest of it. The distances involved, you can see on the first trip will be 180 miles. And then on the long trip, it'll be 240 down to Marrakesh. And then Marrakesh back to Casablanca is a shorter trip. We should see some exciting scenery on the way from Fez south to Marrakesh. Here's a simpler map to look at. You can see Casablanca on the coast of the Atlantic there, and up to the northeast is Fez, and down to the southwest, you'll see Marrakesh. You'll see how close we are to the Straits of Gibraltar and the Mediterranean Sea. Coming down from Fez to Marrakesh, we'll be paralleling the Atlas mountain range. Should be interesting. We'll have a stop there midway at one of the beautiful sites to be visited. First day in Casablanca, we'll have some free time there. On our own, we'll probably get out and explore the city. And in the morning, the following morning, we'll have a city tour on our way up to Rabat and to Fez. A couple of places that we'll visit while we're in Casablanca are shown below. As we pass through Rabat, we'll see some other structures that will be interesting, some mosques, some palaces, and so forth. In Fez, we'll be able to do a lot of exploring of the city, and one of the more interesting places we'll visit is the olden souk. I think we'll all enjoy seeing some of the Moroccan art that we'll see in the souks and in all of the buildings that we'll be visiting. On the way from Fez to Marrakesh, as I mentioned before, we'll be paralleling the Atlas mountain range. We'll be able to see some of the cities along the way, some of the villages. The one you see here will be most interesting. We'll either visit this or some similar village on the trip. There'll be a lot of places to visit in Marrakesh while we're there for 2 days. I'm especially interested in the photo on the right. It's the marketplace in Marrakesh. Here's a fast look at the currency you'll be exposed to. We can just refer to it as MAD money, M-A-D, where 10 MAD equals about $1 US. Be pretty easy to remember. For instance, the 200 MAD will equal $20, and 100 would equal $10, approximately. I will supply a conversion table that will give you more exact figures before the trip. The primary bill you'll probably be dealing with is a 200 MAD. It's worth about $20. You can see in the conversion table on the right that I compiled on the 5th of February that 200 MAD is about $20.72. It might vary a little before we get there, but certainly not enough to really change these numbers much. I will provide that exchange rate sheet to everyone before the trip. People ask about getting money exchange. I would suggest that you wait until you get to the hotel or with the money changers along the street in the cities. I don't think you need to get it at the airport or before we get to Morocco. Have some $1 bills to use as tips. I'm not sure what the tipping rate is, but generally $1 will cover one suitcase from the bus to your room. It may vary, I don't know. Weather looks promising. You can see the temperatures. I've done both February and March for each of the cities that we're going to be visiting. And you can see that the average low, somewhere in the low to mid 50s in Casablanca. You see it circled in green there. And in Fez, same about. And you can see the highs for the day in Casablanca between 67 and 71, say about 69 degrees. Pretty comfortable, I think. You can take a look at the daily updates as we get closer to our trip by just going online and Googling weather in Casablanca or weather in Fez or weather in Marrakesh, and you'll have the weather for each hour of the day. You'll notice here I've just made some basic recommendations on attire. The big thing is dress conservative. You're going into a Muslim nation, and you need to dress accordingly. I would not recommend short pants, nor would the weather make you want to wear short pants. I think it'll be a little chilly. Women should wear shirts with sleeves. Doesn't have to be long sleeves, but if they are, that's good. Shoulders should be covered. You should probably have, as a female, you should probably have a scarf ready. If you do visit mosque, you'll probably be required to wear that, or they might even provide one for you to wear. But I'd suggest bringing your own. Remember, at the airport, check in for your flight 3 hours prior to departure, and make sure your passport is valid. Check the expiration date. Some places require 3 months remaining on your passport at the end of your trip. I hope you've done that. Visas are not required, and immunizations are really not required, but your doctor might have some recommendations on that. At the meeting that I'm holding in my home on the 3rd of February, I'm sorry, on the 9th of February, we'll be discussing some carpooling and hopefully set up some drivers. I'm going to drive to Dulles. I know of a place to park at a hotel that's safe. Cost about $6 or $7 a day. Leave your car there, and they provide. It's very close to the airport, and they provide transportation to and from. Even when we come in, they'll be there within 15 minutes of the time we request them. I'd like to do a little recruiting for future trips. My previous adventures have been fairly numerous. China 3 times, Peru 3 times, Egypt 4 times, and I'm going again here shortly. Iceland 2 times, and I'm going again. Just finished India and Nepal, and we'll be finishing this Morocco trip, and did a Grand Canyon adventure twice in recent times. But my 2020 adventures is the one you're going on, Morocco. Croatia, Montenegro, and Albania will be on the 12th of May. That's closing very soon, and I likely will not get enough participation for that. For Iceland, 20 August, it's a good time to go. It's a land tour. It starts in Reykjavik, and it travels around the perimeter of the island, including the northwest fjord that very few tourists get to. It's an isolated part. We particularly chose late in August because there is a little nightfall during that time, and there is a possibility that while in the West Fjord, we can see the northern lights at night. And then again in Egypt on the 28th of October, I'm going on the 5th trip. It's a Nile River cruise. We'll visit the Sinai, Cairo, and we'll have an option to go to Petra and also to Mount Sinai. Give me an email or call if you can make any of these trips, and I'll include you in the itinerary. Participation space will be limited, so earlier you speak up, the better chance I have of getting you a spot. Just a little review of what's offered in Iceland. Well, there'll be a lot of waterfalls. We probably saw 15. Our driver and tour guide for this last trip, named Thor, is an enthusiast for nature. He is an adventurer like I am, and he takes us off the road to many, many beautiful locations. Probably saw 15 waterfalls. Just another waterfall with Patty and Brian, who went on the second trip with me. Really enjoyed their company. And fortunately, Brian is going on the Morocco trip with us. Egypt is a true adventure. I've taken about 100 people to Egypt so far on 4 previous trips. Here you can see my largest trip. It had a group of about 36 people. And we did essentially on that trip what we're going to do on the 2020 trip. Quite an adventure. Everyone loves it. Some people are actually going back for a second time on my 2020 trip. My 2019 trip was a smaller group of people. Here we are at Edfu Temple along the Nile. We visit about 7 temples during our 4-day cruise down the Nile. Most exciting and most relaxing. We actually just pull into the shoreline and walk into the temples. They're that close to the river. I'm hoping that I can pull off the Croatia trip on the 20th of February. It's a little tight though because currently I have insufficient participation. A 15 minimum is required. I'm still working on adding to the participation rate. Contact me immediately if you're interested so that I can get a space and so that I can continue to pursue the trip. Thanks for listening to this presentation, and thank you for joining me for the Morocco adventure. Our tour agency is Indus Travels. They're based in Canada. They have worked with me on 12 previous tours to design an itinerary that is both informative and adventurous. Don't hesitate to call me with any questions. See my phone number and email below. And the picture on the left is Egypt, quite an adventure. This is the southern tip of the Sinai Peninsula at Ras Mohammed National Park, one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited. The water is crystal clear, very colorful, many, many small fish, beautiful. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you on a tour, another tour with me also. Thank you.